This amazing story begins with a lady named Rose, who, after a long time, is coming back to her old house, named Marrowbone, with her children to live there. The house is located in the middle of a forest, a place where Rose had lived some time ago. However, after the death of her husband, she had left the house. Now, when Rose arrived at the house with her children, they seemed a bit scared. It seemed like something terrifying had happened to them in the past, something that was not allowing them to live in peace in the present. The children asked Rose if their father would come back. Rose laughed and said that he wouldn't come back and that they could live happily here. After that, Rose and her children began to explore the house and enjoyed their time. They soon met a girl named Ellie, who lived nearby. Ellie had a very pleasant nature and talked to them very kindly. Gradually, they all settled in their house, Marrowbone. But as they say, things are not always the same. Suddenly, Rose's health started deteriorating, and due to a lack of money for treatment, she became helpless. In her final moments, Rose called her eldest son, Jack, and told him to take good care of his siblings, no matter what, and never leave them alone. Jack was deeply saddened because he couldn't do anything for his mother. Rose then asked Jack to retrieve a small box and a letter from the cupboard, where something was written. After this, Rose passed away. Jack, in shock, looked at everything in disbelief. He had nothing in his hands. Jack then called his siblings and told them the truth that their mother was now gone, and they no longer had any parents in this world. Jack then began to read the letter his mother had written. The letter stated that the children had to stay together and take care of each other no matter what. It also mentioned that the news of her death should not go outside, because, according to the rules in the USA, children were given to the care of someone over the age of 21 after their parents' death. But Jack was under 21. If they found out about this, the custody of the children would be given to other parents, something their mother never wanted. Therefore, she asked them to keep it a secret. Jack understood this and asked his siblings to do the same. No matter what, they would stay together and move forward. Over time, Jack continued to live alone with his siblings in the house. They performed their mother's funeral quietly and pretended as if she was still inside the house. They never left the house, except for Jack, who would occasionally go to the city to buy things. To avoid suspicion, he told people that his mother was ill and that he was just bringing her medicine. Jack and his siblings somehow carried on with their lives. Now, Jack's sister, Lena, was shown near a room when suddenly someone appeared in the garden and tried to shoot her. Fortunately, the shot was deflected by the glass in the window, and Lena narrowly escaped death. She rushed to tell her brothers what had happened, and they were all shocked. Jack then decided that they would not leave the house anymore. Time passed, and Jack eventually went to see Ellie, the girl he had been getting closer to. She seemed to have some interest in Jack as well. Despite the closeness between them, Jack had kept the secret of his mother's death from everyone. Meanwhile, a lawyer named Mark was shown visiting Ellie's office. Mark had liked Ellie for a long time, but Ellie did not have feelings for him. Mark was also familiar with Jack's mother, and when he met Jack, he told him that his mother had called him before she passed away. She had asked him to thoroughly investigate the property of their house, Marrowbone, and complete the necessary paperwork with her signature. Mark told Jack that he would come to their house to collect his mother's signature. Jack was taken aback and deeply shocked because he couldn't reveal to anyone that his mother had passed away. That's why Jack told Mark that his mother was very ill, and he would get her signature on the property papers himself. However, Mark insisted that the owner had to be present for the process to be valid. He told Jack that he would come to their house to collect the signature in person. Jack then went straight home and told his siblings about the critical situation. They were all unsure of what to do. Jack urged them to take action, or else the lawyer would find out the truth about their mother. Worse, they didn't have the money to pay the lawyer's fees. That's when Jack's younger brother mentioned the small box that they had taken from their mother's cupboard. The box might contain money that could be used to pay the lawyer, forcing him to leave. But Lena warned that they shouldn't do it, as the box could be cursed and might carry a dangerous curse. However, with no other option, Jack's younger brother went to the cave where they had hidden the box. When he brought it back and opened it, they found money inside. They could now arrange to pay the lawyer. They quickly began arranging their house, making sure to place everything outside so that the lawyer wouldn't come inside and ask questions about their mother. The next day, the lawyer arrived at their house, and Jack talked to him outside, making sure the lawyer didn't step inside. After going over the papers, the lawyer told Jack that since he was already there, he should meet Jack's mother. But Jack quickly replied, saying that it wouldn't be possible as his mother was very ill and had become very aggressive due to her condition. Meeting her right now could be very dangerous. Jack then took the papers inside the house, where his sister Lena had been trying for days to copy their mother's signature. After much practice, she finally succeeded. As Jack was about to get the signatures on the papers, it suddenly started raining heavily outside, prompting the lawyer to come inside. Realizing this, Jack figured that the lawyer was trying to enter the house, so he pretended to be talking to his mother. After getting the signatures, Jack quickly stepped outside and stopped the lawyer, saying that his mother was very angry, and asked him to take the papers and leave. The lawyer didn't mind, as he had the signed papers and the money. He happily left. After all this, Jack and his siblings started enjoying their time, feeling relieved that no one knew the truth about their mother. While they were having fun, Jack's youngest brother, Sam, accidentally dropped a dice. When Sam picked it up, another dice appeared, which he followed to another location. As Sam reached there, the cloth covering a mirror suddenly fell, and he saw a terrifying ghost inside, beckoning him to come closer. Sam screamed loudly, and Jack and his brothers quickly ran to him, covering the mirror with the cloth. Jack then sent his 3 siblings into a tent, hoping they would be safe there. However, Jack noticed some small holes in the ceiling and climbed up a ladder to inspect them. Suddenly, he saw a dangerous ghost hovering above them. Terrified, Jack fell from the ladder and lost consciousness. When he later opened his eyes, he found himself back inside the tent with his siblings. His sister, Lena, explained that the ghost must have been summoned because they used the money they found in the box. She warned that the ghost would keep haunting them until they returned the money. It became clear to them that the box they had opened was cursed, and now they had to face the consequences. Meanwhile, Ellie was shown on her way to her office when she ran into Mark, the lawyer. He offered to give her a ride, and she got into his car. On the way, Mark started telling Ellie about Jack's family, mentioning how they never interacted with others and how the entire family seemed strange. He also shared that Jack's father was a serial killer who had disappeared after stealing $100 from a bank. Ellie, however, told Mark that it wasn't his concern and that they had their own family problems to deal with. Ellie then went to Jack, who was sitting near a farmhouse. She asked him about his father and the killings. Jack became visibly disturbed, not wanting to discuss his father's dark past. He explained that his father had tormented their family so much that they couldn't bear it anymore. Noticing Jack's distress, Ellie kissed him to help him relax. However, at a distance, Mark saw this and became very angry, as he had feelings for Ellie. His jealousy sparked a desire for revenge. Meanwhile, Jack went home and locked himself in his room, still shaken by the thoughts of his father. His younger brother Sam noticed that no one else was around and decided to go into their mother's room. He grabbed the key and entered quickly, as he was feeling nostalgic and wanted to touch his mother's belongings to feel closer to her. While in the room, Sam tried to peer out the window using a chair, but he lost his balance and fell. The cloth covering the mirror fell off, and Sam, who was terrified of mirrors, quickly tried to cover it up. But when he glanced into the mirror, he saw the ghost inside, which started moving toward him. Sam screamed, and Jack and his siblings rushed to help him. They took Sam downstairs and gathered to discuss what was going on and what they were dealing with. After the terrifying encounter with the ghost, Lena and Jack began discussing the possibility that the entity haunting them could be their father, who was a serial killer. Jack also shared that when their family had abandoned him, their father had likely come back to kill them as well. After enduring so much torture, Jack and his siblings had locked their father inside the ceiling so that he would never be free. Lena suggested that they should give their father a proper funeral to put an end to the haunting, as it was likely the spirit of their father causing them so much fear. Meanwhile, Mark, the lawyer, received a great job offer from an American company that would double his salary. However, in order to accept the offer, he needed to deposit $55,000 upfront, which he didn't have. One day, while reading the newspaper, he came across an article about Jack's father, a serial killer, who had stolen over $100 before disappearing. This gave Mark a realization. When he had asked Jack for money, Jack had easily given him $200. Mark now suspected that Jack's father might have hidden the stolen money at home and, after giving some of it to his children, might have kept the rest hidden. He figured the money Jack had given him could have come from the stolen sum. Angry and greedy, Mark thought that if he tortured or blackmailed Jack, he could get $5,000 from him. With this idea in mind, he went directly to Jack's house. There, he confronted Jack, saying he knew about the stolen money and the fake signatures Jack had put on the documents. Mark demanded $55,000, threatening to expose Jack if he didn't comply. Terrified, Jack rushed to his siblings and told them everything. But they were now in a dilemma. They had already thrown the box with the money into the chimney, where their father's ghost now haunted them. They realized that getting the money back would mean facing the terrifying spirit once more. Jack and his siblings were in a state of panic, not knowing how to retrieve the box of money from the chimney where it was hidden. One night, while everyone was asleep, Jack's middle brother, David, decided to take a dangerous risk and use a rope to go into the chimney to fetch the box. As David descended, he found himself surrounded by darkness. To his horror, he noticed a bucket of water and signs of animals that had been brutally killed and eaten. Despite the unsettling scene, he managed to find the box. However, just as he was about to grab it, he heard footsteps behind him and turned to see a terrifying figure, his father, the serial killer. David quickly grabbed the box and tried to ascend back up the rope, but his father grabbed onto it, pulling him down. Desperate to escape, David had no choice but to cut the rope, dropping the box but saving himself from his father's relentless attack. He fled as fast as he could. Meanwhile, Jack had been experiencing strange visions, and Lena noticed his distress. She found David, who was badly injured from the attack. David revealed the horrifying truth: their father, whom they had thought was dead and sealed in the ceiling, was still alive. He had been surviving by drinking water and eating animals. This revelation shook Jack to his core, causing him to have seizures. Lena was deeply concerned for both her brothers, so she decided to turn to Ellie for help. Lena hoped Ellie could provide some guidance or information to solve their problem. When Ellie arrived at the place Lena had directed her, she found a book left behind by Lena. This book detailed the history of Jack's family, revealing shocking secrets. It told how Jack's father had been a psychopath, eventually becoming a serial killer. His madness escalated to the point where he tried to kill his own children. As Ellie read further, she learned that the family's horrific past had shaped the terrifying present they were all living through. Jack's mother had always kept her children safe by taking them to their private house, which once belonged to her father. But as the story flashes back, we learn that Jack's father, a serial killer, had once attacked them, trying to murder his own children. This traumatic event left lasting scars on the family. When Jack learned about his father's return, he quickly locked his siblings in a room to keep them safe. Jack then took the stolen money from the box and went to confront his father, offering the money in exchange for leaving them all alone and allowing them to live peacefully. However, Jack's father, infuriated by this, still attacked Jack mercilessly, showing no mercy despite the fact that Jack was his son. Jack, in a desperate attempt to defend himself, used a small knife to wound his father, who was severely injured. Jack managed to escape with his life but was thrown from a height by his father, causing serious injuries, and he fell unconscious. Despite being injured, Jack's father managed to enter the house through the chimney. He was ready to attack Jack's siblings and kill them. The three siblings were in immediate danger. But as Jack regained consciousness, he grabbed a gun and rushed to the house to protect them. The scene then shifts to present time, where we see Mark, the lawyer, investigating Jack's house. He searches the rooms but doesn't find anyone. However, when he checks Lena's room, he finds some notes revealing that their mother had died and that everything they had been going through was part of a twisted act. Mark begins to piece together the dark history of Jack's family, raising further questions about the truth. Mark, driven by his obsession with finding the money, began searching another room, where he suspected the hidden cache might be. He used a hammer to break through a blocked-off passage, believing it would lead him to the fortune. But as soon as he entered, he was horrified to discover the decomposed bodies of Jack's three siblings. These bodies were the tragic result of Jack's father's brutal attack when he had come to kill his children. Mark's shock deepened as he realized the fate of the family. When Jack arrived, gun in hand, he, too, faced the grim reality. His siblings were dead, and his father was still alive, trapped in the basement. Unable to do anything else, Jack sealed the basement door with bricks to keep his father from escaping. He was now completely alone, the only family he had left gone. This tragic loss shattered Jack's mind, and he developed multiple personality disorder. Jack's psyche fractured so severely that he began to interact with his siblings as though they were still alive, speaking and behaving like them. In total, Jack developed 4 different personalities, each mirroring one of his siblings. His mind refused to accept their deaths, and he lived in denial, speaking to them as if they were still present. As Ellie read through the disturbing details in the book, she was shocked by Jack's tragic transformation. She rushed to the house, only to find Jack acting strangely, sometimes speaking as one of his siblings, sometimes another. It was clear that Jack had written the book himself, documenting everything that had happened. He had tried to share his story with others before but had been unable to. Suddenly, from upstairs, a scream pierced the silence. It was Mark, who had found the bodies of Jack's siblings and had been attacked, leaving him severely injured. Ellie rushed to his aid, but as she reached him, a terrifying figure emerged from behind a door. It was Jack's father, now far more aggressive and monstrous than ever before. Jack's father, driven by madness and anger, was now a true force of horror. As Jack's father, driven by his serial killer instincts, lunged at Ellie and tried to kill her, she desperately called out for Jack's help. However, Jack, still terrified, was paralyzed by his fear. Ellie, in a moment of desperation, told Jack that he needed to overcome his fear and destroy his father once and for all if he ever hoped to live a normal life. Her words struck a chord with Jack, and, in a moment of clarity, he imagined his brother asking for his help, urging him to act. This gave him the courage he needed. Jack grabbed the gun and went upstairs, where he shot his father, killing him instantly. With the threat gone, Jack was able to escape the horrors of his past. He took Ellie and fled from the house, leaving the trauma behind. However, in the aftermath, time passed, and we see Ellie visiting a psychiatrist and doctor who had been treating Jack's personality disorder. The doctor, concerned for Ellie, advised her to leave Jack, as he was too dangerous and unstable. But Ellie refused, insisting that she would continue Jack's treatment. She had been giving Jack the prescribed medications, but in truth, she had been hiding them from him, not wanting him to forget the memories of his siblings. She wanted Jack to keep those memories alive, as it made him more human in her eyes, and she felt that it was the only way he could truly heal. Together, Jack and Ellie continued their lives, with Jack still carrying the heavy weight of his past but also the possibility of redemption, however complicated. And that's where the story ends.